It's Kofi J here with another mix tutorial. Actually, this time we're actually mastering. We're going to master Broadway B's new song. It's called Campfire. I recently just mastered a song for him, so I went ahead and imported it here. He liked it. I liked it. It's my most recent master of his, so I'm going to compare these two when I'm done. So I'll put that one in here. He's a unique artist. He kind of mixes rap and soul and R&B as well, but with country flavor. It's pretty cool. And we're going to get right into it. So this is the mix that they sent me. It looks like it's mix 3. I'm actually going to rename my session to be 3.1 because what I do typically on my own stuff is I'll put the mix number first and then the master number second. That way, if I change just the master, I can put it 3.2. If it's a different mix, they want to send me one with a louder kick, I'll change it to 4.1 and start over, and so on and so forth. I've been using this for a while and have no reason to change it because I feel like it works. I understand it. If I explain it to people, they usually understand it pretty quickly as well. So this one will be 3.1. Song is called Campfire. I haven't listened to it all the way through yet at all. I've just heard very small pieces of it. So right now when I play back, I'm just going to really listen for what I think is wrong with the mix, if anything, and how much I need to do, what plugins I'm going to be using, because I know what the plugins sound like already. This right here is just a template, a rough template of plugins I'm probably going to use, and I'll tell you what each one does when we get to it.
Meet me at the campfire, take my lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my flame.
You know I've been burned before, but could this trail be something more? Over the river and through the trees, this forest brought me to my knees. Please lead me to a path I haven't seen. Won't let the smoke cloud my judgment. If you don't let the fear douse the flame. Been trying to hold back my emotions, but there's a spark here that we can't contain.
Meet me at the campfire, take my lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my flame. I know you've been singed back in the past, but baby, I can show you how to shake that ash. Don't you try to leave before we strike that match. Let us pick up some steam, then apply the gas. Over the creek and through the leaves, I'll take you to all your fantasies. I'll be the embers that flow through your oceanless breeze. My agenda, our tender, our kindle. I start to glow when you light up my temper. Whenever I shiver, deliver your energy. Meet me at the campfire, take my...
Okay, I got the general gist of it. Mix is pretty balanced. I like it. Usually they send really good balanced mixes. You can even tell by the waveform. The only thing that's sticking out is the transients. So that's pretty typical. Looks like the loudest part of the song, you want to identify that in mastering because you want to make sure that doesn't clip. It looks like it's either here or around here. So it's definitely in the hooks, somewhere in the beginning, and maybe this part. All right, so let's dive right in. First thing I'm gonna turn on is this noise suppressor by Waves. I just have it like at the slightest setting so that when it gets to these really quiet parts, it'll kick in and you won't hear the noise from the noise floor. Every song, every recording has a noise floor. It just depends on if you can hear it or not. See, when it stops, this thing kicks in, gets rid of all the hiss. And then also I turned down the gain on the main mix because we want 3 to 6 dB of headroom on the output. And that's to prevent clipping when we get to the limiting stage of the master. Yep. All right, so let's dive in. I'm just gonna focus on the first thing I did here was that I feel like the lead vocals could pop a little bit more. And there's ways to do this. So you could do it with EQ, you could do it with turning it up. There's different plugins that allow you to just turn it up, just the vocals. You could turn up the middle signal because that's where the lead vocals lie the most, but then it'll also turn up whatever is centered in the drums and whatever instruments are centered. So you got to be careful with that. But yeah, let's just dive in, see if we find any frequencies that are sticking out that are unpleasant. And most of my focus is going to be on the lead vocal. Even when I'm making edits, I'm making pretty much edits based on what I hear with the lead vocal and then making sure it doesn't mess other instruments and stuff up. But in general, mastering, what we're trying to do, we're trying to make subtle changes, 1 dB, half dB, 2 dB max, subtle changes that add up to a big change in the end.
I've been burned before. The good force brought me to my knees. Please lead me to a path that...
So yeah, I am going to compress it a little bit. I feel like it could be a little bit tighter. It's decently compressed. You can look at the waveform, but like I said, we have these transients here, so I'm going to compress it a little bit, give it a little bit more glue. And I'm going to make the release a lot less so we don't notice the compression that much. Because this is like a pre-compressor. We're going to compress a lot more later.
I've been burned before. But could this trail be something more? Over the river and through the trees, this forest brought me to my knees. Please lead me to a path I haven't seen. Won't let the smoke cloud my judgment if you don't let the fear.
And now I'm going to play with the EQ. I'm going to do these two EQs at the same time. This is a dynamic EQ by Fat Filter. And so it'll automatically do EQing once it passes a certain threshold. And this one is more of a analog EQ. And so it has a different sound to it. And I already know I want it to sound a little bit more analog. It's a more earthy type of song, not like very digital, a little folky. So you want it to sound very real. There's a lot of real instruments being played, real guitars. So you want to give it that real organic console type of sound. And this is the SSL channel strip from UAD.
Please lead me to a path I haven't seen. Won't let the smoke cloud my judgment if you...
I'm resetting everything so that I know exactly what I'm doing when I change the knobs. And I can look here to see if it's really fully reset or not, because the real thing doesn't have numbers, so you have to look here. This is the benefit of having digital plugins. You can look here and see the actual numbers, see how much you're actually turning it by.
Please lead me to a path I haven't seen. Won't let the smoke.
And like I said at the beginning, I want to bring the vocals a little bit more forward. I'm going to try to make them as present as possible, maybe even hurt a little bit in my ears, and then scale back from there.
Please lead me to a path I haven't seen.
I can look at this graphic EQ to see where I want to make my cuts. Looks like 469-ish area is a good place to start with the vocal to make it a little bit more crisp. Because like I said, I want the vocals to jump out a little bit more. And I think I'm just going to try to do it with EQ because it's not that low, but it's not that loud. So somewhere, I think EQ might get it done. So I'm going to go to around 400 something hertz. Where are we at? I think this one. Let me hide this. 400 and something hertz. 430. And start cutting a little bit on this.
Please lead me to a path I haven't seen. Won't let the smoke cloud my judgment if you don't let the fear douse the flame. Please lead me to a path I haven't seen. Won't let the smoke cloud my judgment if you don't
at the campfire.
All right, so I think she could be turned up a decent amount. I typically do this at the end, but that's so noticeable to me now that I don't want to forget it. And just for time efficiency, I can go to this plugin. What's it called? It's by Isotope. This Master Rebalance. And I can literally grab all the vocals and turn them up. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to automate it so that this part where she's singing the vocals is turned up just a little bit. Actually, I haven't even put this on the click. So let me put it on the click first. We'll see how fast, what the tempo is. Okay, we got the tempo, but it's not on the click exactly. So I want it to be on the click exactly, well, on the right beat. So this looks like it's the down beat. So I'm going to move everything over to where it's on 1.
Fire, take my lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some.
All right, we're good now. All right, now let me do the automation for that verse. Compress A to get to the automation. Then we go to the plugin we want. There's a setting in Logic where if you can open the plugin and tap the parameter, it'll automatically change here. I don't know exactly where it is. It's somewhere in the preferences. So I'm going here. I'm turning it up to 1, whatever. If you press Command, you can get to the secondary tool right here. And then it's a marquee tool. And then I'm going to turn up the vocal. I want to put these back on 0 because they were fine. So just for that verse is where I want to boost the vocal.
Into my brain.
You know I've been burned before. But could this trail be something more? Over the river and through the trees, this forest brought me to my knees. Please lead me to a path I haven't seen. Won't let the smoke cloud my judgment. If you don't let the fear douse the flame, been trying to hold back my emotions, but there's a spark here that we can't contain.
Meet me at the campfire. Meet me at the campfire.
You don't let the fear douse the flame, been trying to hold back spark here that we can't contain.
Meet me at the campfire. Take my lighter. We can.
That's pretty cool. That's, I think, a little bit more balanced. All right, let's keep listening.
Ignite a new flame. Bring some cider. There is no timer, so you can melt into my flame. I know you've been singed back in the past.
Okay, so to me, it seems like they wanted to not bury the vocals in the hook, but make the vocals blend with the hook a lot better. So I'm not going to adjust that too much. I probably will compress the middle a little bit and then make sure that the width of the instruments is even wider so that the vocals can be more present in the mix. Yeah, let's work on the hook for a little while. And to get these markers automatically, you just press Option and then the quotes button.
Judgment. If you don't let the fear douse the flame, been trying to hold back my emotions, but there's a spark here that we can't contain.
Meet me at the campfire. Take my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider. There is no timer, so you can melt into my flame.
All right, dope. I might have made that cut a little bit too severe. Let's see, with that mid range, or maybe it should just be on her part. Let's turn it back up a little bit. Just compare.
Campfire, take my lighter. We can ignite a new flame.
I'm looking for a good sizzle frequency. It'll help bring the vocals forward. I'm not finding it here, so I'm going to try a different plugin because I can hear that it's recorded with some good sizzle in there. I just want to bring it out a little bit. Hmm, 8K. Let's try the mag EQ. This has a nice analog sound as well, so I'm just going to play it regular without any changes and see if I like it. I'm actually going to bypass this because I didn't really do anything on here.
Campfire, take my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider. There is no timer, so you can melt into my flame. Campfire, take my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some.
Yes, I think the frequency I'm looking for is around 5K, I think, because 10 felt a little too tinny, too small, and then 2 felt a little too present. So let me go with 5K air band, and I'm going to just do it. I'm going to do it too much, and I'm going to scale back.
Campfire, take my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider. There is no timer, so you can melt into my flame. Campfire, take my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider. There is no.
So I'm still feeling like there's some clarity issues. It's not like do or die. I can still hear what he's saying, but I think we can make it better. So I'm going to go to the compressor, the dynamic compressor on Ozone, and see if I can get a better clarity in the vocal on the hook.
Campfire, take my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do mid side because it's very apparent that the guitars are on those sides and the vocals is in the middle. I'm gonna affect the vocal first in the mid, and then I'll work on the sides, maybe at the same time, so that the guitar doesn't overpower the vocal too much. But still, I want it to support the vocal.
Campfire, take my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider. There is no timer, so you can melt into my flame. Campfire, take my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider. There is no timer, so you can melt into my flame. Campfire.
All right, so right there, I was just listening to the sides, and I'm compressing those a bit so that we can focus more on the mids in this hook. Not too much though, because I do want it to expand in the hook, but I don't want it to overpower what's being said in the middle.
Lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my flame. Campfire, take my lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my flame. Campfire, take my lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider.
So it seems like there's a lot of guitar energy in the middle as well. So not much I could do about that, which is you can still hear the vocal pretty clearly. So it's not like a deal breaker or anything. But let me see. I want to do mid side. Okay, that's the mid, that's the side. Turn off the solo. Let's see what we got.
Campfire, take my lighter, we can ignite a.
All right, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive on the higher frequencies of the outside because I think that's where it's getting masked a little bit. Even though you don't see it cross the threshold up here, it still is affecting the sound if you listen super carefully. So I'm going to do it like probably around here-ish.
Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my flame.
Okay, so I think I got the sizzle I want. I think I got the control of the width a little bit. Now I'm gonna boost the mids, like the 1K area of the master. So I'm gonna put this on 1K just to see if I can get some more warmth on the vocal in the middle. And I think the analog EQ will get it done.
Campfire, take my lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my flame.
Again, looking over here, because I had it at 1.6, that's a bit much for a master, so I put it at 1 dB.
Campfire, take my lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my flame. I know you've been singed back in the past, but baby, I can show you how to shake that ass.
Okay, I feel like I put a little too much sizzle on there. So I'm going to go back to here, bring it down to 1 and see if I can live with it.
Don't you try to leave before we strike that match. Let us pick up some steam, then apply the gas. Over the creek and through the leaves,
Starting to think that 1K push was a good idea, but it might not be the right frequency. So I'm going to play around to see maybe like 500 or even less to give it that warmth, that body of the vocal I need.
I know you've been singed back in the past, but baby, I can show you how to shake that ash. Don't you try to leave before we strike that match. Let us pick up some steam, then apply the gas. Over the creek and through the leaves, I'll taste trees. I'll be the embers that flow through your ocean's breeze. My agenda, our tender, our kindle. I start to glow when you light up my timber. Whenever I shiver, deliver your energy. Baby, I can show you how to shake that ass. Don't you try to leave before we strike that match. Let us pick up some steam, then apply the gas. Over the creek and through the leaves, I'll take you to all your fantasies. I'll be the embers that flow through your oceanless breeze. My agenda, our tender, our kindle. I start to glow when you light up my timber. Whenever I shiver, deliver your energy.
Yep, still felt like the vocals getting a little buried, so I turned it up a little bit. Let me go back to the imager. I didn't talk about that. So I think if I make it wider, it might clear up the vocal a little bit, but the guitars is in the middle too, so I'm not sure. We'll see.
Baby, I can show you how to shake that ass.
I might could do this. Hold on.
Baby, I can show you how to shake that ass.
Oh, that definitely helped. All right, so I've narrowed up the mid-range where a lot of the vocal lives. So I don't necessarily need the super lows because it doesn't seem like there's too much vocals in there. So let me solo here to see if there's any vocals in there. That's pretty good. All right. So let's work on this mid-range section again.
Baby, I can show you how to shake that ass. Don't you try to leave before we strike that match. Let us pick up some steam, then apply the gas. Over the creek and through the leaves, I'll take you to all your fantasies. I'll be the embers that flow through your oceanless breeze.
Oh yeah, definitely sounding better. So I could do this in just the hook. I'm going to try to leave it just for the whole thing as far as the width of the mid-range, because I definitely hear the vocals a lot stronger now and I hear them more clearly. I'm just going to leave it at -10 for now. I might change it later or just automate it to be -10 in the verses and then wider in the hook.
My agenda, our tender, our kindle. I start to glow when you light up my timber. Whenever I shiver, deliver your energy.
I'm pretty balanced. I'm using tonal balance controllers to make sure I'm balanced. This is pop setting. I'm probably going to put it on country, honestly. This leads more country to me.
Cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my brain.
Okay, so in the hook, we're getting real high on the super highs, everything above like 7,500 and up frequency. So that I really couldn't hear because my monitors aren't that great when it comes to the super highs. I usually use headphones to reference those. So I'm going to go to the dynamic compressor so that when it does hit the hook, oh, this is the side. I'll leave the side alone. Let's do the mid. I'm going to hit it a little bit harder on the compressor so it doesn't go out of the range.
Meet me at the campfire, take my lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into.
Oh, just look at this. Didn't even notice this. So I'm messing up the balance right here. Must have been my default.
Lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no.
Yeah, it's still the very top of this. We want to be sort of in the middle on each one of these. So I'm going to go down 1 dB. Let's see what happens.
Lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my lighter. We can lighter, we can some cider. There is no.
Strange. I went down -6 and it still didn't really do anything. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm going to be aggressive with it and see if I can get it to go down.
Lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my lighter. We can ignite a new flame. Some cider, there is no timer.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it's not any of these issues. I'm going to go to the dynamic EQ, see if I can address it here. Because I feel like it's only certain parts that is making it jump up super high, like just this hook or whatever. Let me check it on the rest of the song.
Don't you try to leave before we strike that match. Let us pick up some steam, then apply the gas. Over the creek and through the leaves, I'll take you to all your.
Okay, no, it's a problem throughout the whole thing. All right, good to know. And this is typical, honestly, with these mixes I've been doing with Broadway so far, is that the high end, the super highs are usually pretty sizzly, and we've been having to tame them a bit. So this is very consistent with the rest of his mixes. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just a stylistic thing, but we don't want to be too sizzly to where it takes away from what he's saying or hurts their ears on other systems.
Fantasies, I'll be the embers.
Oh yeah, I can see it right there. Honestly, I'm gonna get rid of this and do a band EQ, and I'll check in the headphones when I get to the headphone section. Trying to find which frequency seems like to have a whole bunch of energy in the highs, because clearly one of them is jumping through.
Bring some cider, there is no timer, so you can melt into my lighter.
Another thing is sometimes other frequencies aren't loud enough, and this thing works on the whole spectrum. So I could boost the lows a little bit, and I think that would balance out this a bit too. And just using my ears to make the bass could probably come up a bit. So I'm just going to gain it a little bit over here. Let's try 1 dB.
Lighter, we can ignite a lighter, we can ignite a new flame. Bring some.
Anyway, I'm going to give my ears a break, come back, we'll get to it, and then hopefully jump into the headphone section. I got to check everything on some monitors. I'm going to use the VSX headphones that I have so I can check it in different rooms. And yeah, you'll see.